Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let me express my sincere appreciation for all of you all being here this Monday morning. The men and women that you see flanking me are leaders in our community representing the Birmingham City Council, led by the Chair of the Public Safety Committee, Chairwoman, and Representative of City Council District 9, LaTonya Tate, as well as Chief Pickett, his command staff of Birmingham Police Department, Sheriff Mark Petway and his command staff, as well as the Jefferson County delegation, who members will be introduced in a few minutes. We're gathered here because we represent a unified front. We represent a unified front related to calling for a passage of a statewide ban on conversion devices, commonly known as Glock switches. As we've stated before, and as you all have seen in demonstrations, Glock switches, these conversion devices, allow a semi-automatic weapon to be turned into an automatic weapon. BPD, as well as the Sheriff's Office, are fully aware of these devices and are on the streets every day, actually, believe it or not, making arrests, doing everything they can to engage and take these off the streets. We've also worked closely with the U.S. Attorney's Office to assist us. And while the federal government has banned such devices, we want to make it clear as a unified front that passage at the state level from our state legislators are equally critical. That being the case, I want to be clear and say that establishing a statewide ban removes a gap which gives the local law enforcement you see standing here more tools, if you would, to get these devices off our streets. I also want to be clear in saying this: one person cannot solve this issue alone of gun violence. That is not only the beauty of the power of what you see here, a genuine partnership, real leaders in community, all of us collectively doing everything we can to address this issue of decreasing gun violence in Birmingham and Jefferson County. We are laser focused on making sure we can keep our public safe. And so they've already been introduced, and more to come from our legislators. So what I want to do first is step aside and allow our law enforcement to speak, first starting with Chief Pickett, and then Sheriff Mark Petway, and then I'll come back up to the podium to introduce others.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Pickett. I currently serve as Interim Chief of Police for Birmingham Police Department. And the importance of this is simply that we've seen an influx in Glock switches in our community. I want to say since I've taken this role, we've taken roughly 30 to 40 Glock switches off our streets in Birmingham. And another reason this is so important in law enforcement, you know, some of you have probably heard of McGruff, the crime dog. Well, the thing is, in law enforcement officers need to be armed with teeth, okay? And for us, laws and legislation are the teeth that law enforcement officers and deputies need to be able to address the violent crime in our city and in our county. So it's huge. If we can get this passed, it gives us another tool, as Mayor stated, it gives us another tool to be able to address the most violent people in our community. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jefferson County Sheriff Mark Petway, and I would like to thank Mayor Whitman and the City of Birmingham for bringing us together to discuss an extreme pressing issue in our community, Glock switches. I have to give gratitude to Senator Roger Smitterman, Representative Rolanda Hollis, Representative Kevin Thatcher, Representative Travis Hendricks for their commitment to public safety and their dedication to fighting gun violence. I don't want to also omit the Coleman senators that we have here, Coleman and Representative Rafferty didn't know that they would be here, but don't want to admit them because I need them also. We all have seen firsthand the devastation caused by conversion devices known as Glock switches. They do not belong in our communities or neighborhoods. They pose a direct threat to both our citizens and to the brave law enforcement officers who risk their lives daily. As sheriff of Jefferson County, I have witnessed the deadly consequences of these illegal modifications. I have seen families torn apart by gun violence. The fear in our neighborhoods and the increased danger of my deputies face when the weapons are used. The statewide ban is a crucial step that I support wholeheartedly. But laws alone are not enough. We must have strong enforcement to get these devices off of our streets. I am calling on law enforcement, elected officials, and most importantly, the people of our communities to work together. We need your help. You've heard this before, but it's so important. If you see something, say something. If you know where these devices are being sold, stored, or used, speak up. Your information could prevent the next tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Pickett, and thank you, Sheriff Petway, for your leadership on this topic. Next, we want to bring up Danny Carr, and then bring up Councilwoman LaTonya Tate, and I'll come back and introduce our other speakers. I cannot speak for the DA, but I imagine he shares and echoes what other 66 DAs throughout the state of Alabama want, which is a state law to complement the federal law that give them additional tools to hold people accountable for hurting others in our community with Glock switches. That being said, everyone, DA Danny Carr.
Good morning. Machine gun conversion devices has no place in a civilized society. I'll say that again. Machine gun conversion devices have no place in a civilized society. I think we can all agree on that. Although they're small, but when they're used by one pull of a trigger, they're very deadly. There need to be laws on the books that will allow state prosecutors as well to hold those individuals who use those Glock switches, who modify weapons to make them machine-like guns, and who actually have them either in actual possession or constructive possession. Either way, we need to have the ability to hold them accountable in state court, but also allow the U.S. Attorney's Office to continue to hold them accountable in federal court. In those cases, doesn't have to be ran concurrent, they can be ran consecutively, which means that you can serve time in a state court, state penal facility, and also in a federal facility. So I want to thank everybody that you see standing up here, our senators, our state reps, our mayor, our sheriff, our police chief. But I want to thank everybody who you don't see, the people that's standing with the people you see on camera to make this happen, because all communities and all circumstances are not created equal. Everybody have different issues, and we see this issue play out every day here in Birmingham and in Jefferson County. It takes all of us to eradicate this issue, not just one person, all of us together. So I'm just going to ask everybody to get off the sidelines, let your voice be heard, and make sure you stand for what's right. And that is to take these conversion devices off of our streets, out of the cars, out of the schools, and make sure that there are real consequences if someone is caught with them. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to echo pretty much what everybody has already said. I do stand firmly with the mayor. I want to thank the Jefferson County delegation, Sheriff Petway, DA Carr, Interim Chief Mike Pickett. And as they stated, the Glock switches have no place in our community. I stand firm today as the chairwoman of public safety and the representative of District 9 to continue to advocate and legislate for best practices that the mayor has introduced to the city of Birmingham, and thanking my colleagues for the legislation and the monies that we have passed to bring best practices to reduce gun violence in the city of Birmingham. The mayor is firm on what he believes in, the best practices that we've been able to bring to introduce back to the city of Birmingham, the street outreach team, and really legislating and advocating for community violence intervention work to be put into budgets, not just through the city, the county. Everybody has to play their part. So we're reaching out to the communities to make sure that they play their part, because we all as a collective have to work together to reduce gun violence. And I have great confidence as I stand at this podium today that we will get there. I really believe that gun violence will start decreasing in the city of Birmingham, and the opportunities, as the mayor said, we want to give you these opportunities. We want to give you the resources that you need to thrive in the city of Birmingham, with jobs, with, you know, the things that you need, if you need to get your education. But again, I stand firmly with the mayor, the sheriff, the Birmingham Police Department, and the Jefferson County delegation to reduce gun violence and get sensible gun violence legislation passed in the state of Alabama.
Thank you, DA Danny Carr, and thank you, Councilwoman and Chairwoman of the Public Safety Committee, LaTonya Tate. Listen, I saved the best for last on purpose. I told you all this is teamwork. We cannot do our work without the state of Alabama. LaTonya Tate and I stand before you, elected officials, and our positions are nonpartisan. It's extremely important to us to work with the state to solve problems, particularly one of this nature. That being the case, it is not lost on us that the House of Representatives actually passed a bill on their side last session. We are encouraged by the dialogue and the conversations we hear so far, not just from the Jefferson County delegation, who we have a major appreciation for on both sides, House and Senate, but some of the conversation that's happening around the state. With that said, we hope that Representative Eisner's bill out of Montgomery pushes fast through the process, and then the Senate comes along. And so let me do this. On behalf of the Jefferson County delegation, House of Representatives, I would like to have Travis Hendricks, who's not just a representative, but his full-time employment as a Birmingham police officer, that gives him a very unique perspective, to speak on behalf of the Jefferson County House of Representatives. And he can bring his colleague up as well and introduce him. Gentlemen, come forward, please. Oh, yes, all of you.
Yeah, come on up. Well, good evening. Good morning. First, I want to thank Mayor Woodfin for allowing us to be here today. I also want to thank Sheriff Petway, Chief Pickett, all my coworkers, everybody else that's present, man. This means a lot. As you all know, Governor Ivey, she has put forth a Safe Alabama Act, a package of bills that focus on gun violence and also supporting law enforcement officers across the state. From being a sergeant with Birmingham Police Department and also being a state legislator, personally, this means a lot to me. But the thing about it is, this would not have been possible without a bipartisan effort. Us working together as one for a common goal, which is to make Alabama a safe state once again. Just to talk about a few of those bills within that particular package, one in particular is the Inner City Gun Violence Act, which mandatory jail time for possession of a firearm, any prior felon conviction. The second I want to mention is the ANILE law, which is the expansion of the current 12 offenses. One offense in particular would be added to that particular legislation is the shooting into an occupied dwelling, which currently right now on the books is a Class B felony, but it will be upgraded to a Class A felony. The other one I want to mention, the reason why we're here today, which is the Glock switch. Everybody's aware of that particular legislation. You know, basically converting a semi-automatic gun, which is a pistol, into a machine gun. And lastly, I want to mention is the Juvenile Accountability and Monitoring Act. Basically what that is Alabama Bipartisan Parole and any other state agencies such as DYS or any type of release programs. It provides them access to electronic monitoring for juvenile delinquents. Also, the second piece of that is the 72-hour confinement, which it allows the judge or the court, any juvenile or status offender, let me say status offender, which is a minor, who violated a court order, they can be held on electronic monitor and they will not be detained, or they could be detained into a juvenile facility. One thing I want to say, and I want to leave y'all with this: it doesn't matter who you are, where you at. You know, everybody here wants to feel safe, and I think together, us continuing to work together, we took a step forward to make Alabama a safe state once again. So thank y'all so much. Okay, my colleagues here, I apologize. I representing Rafferty right here. Y'all know who this is. He just got elected. All right, you got Senator Roger Smitterman. Senator, okay, you got that. All right, who else here? That's good. That's it. I apologize.
Come on up, Senator. Introduce your colleagues.
Good morning. It's good to be here this morning with each and every one of you. I want to recognize who's been recognized first, Mayor Wolfen. I want to recognize you in the effort, Chief Pettaway and Chief Pickett. I want to recognize you and your men and your staff, if there are ladies with us, and let you all know that we stand hand in hand with you all to support your efforts in trying to make our city, our county, and our state safe. It's unfortunate that we don't have home rule. And because we don't have home rule, that means that we have to be an integral part in providing you all the tools that's necessary to do y'all job. And I promise y'all, we're gonna do that. And whatever else we need to do, we're gonna do it. Because one thing about the streets, and before I say that, I wanna do this. I wanna introduce my colleagues. I wanna introduce Senator Marika Coleman. All right, and I wanna introduce Senator Linda Coleman Madison. These are my two colleagues two of my colleagues in the Jefferson County Senate delegation. And we, it's not me, it's we, because it takes all of us with the House as well to do what we gotta do. But we're gonna do what's necessary because as Representative Hendricks mentioned, you know, bullets don't determine whether they hit somebody who's an R, they don't determine whether they hit somebody who's a D, they don't determine whether they hit somebody who's black or somebody who's white. Those bullets are going to hit whoever is out there. And this is a situation that we all, in a bipartisan manner, politics shouldn't have nothing to do with what we're trying to do now. This is the public safety of our citizens in this city and in this county and, of course, in this state. But we do have some legislation in the Senate, and among those pieces is some legislation that I've introduced, and one, our legislation go hand in hand with what the governor's trying to do and what Representative Isley is doing, because he's defining the use and the prohibitive use of the Glock switch. The bill that I have goes a little further. It actually defines what a machine gun is. Any conversion, Glocksmith or any otherwise, to take a weapon that is not designed to shoot automatically and have it to do that, then you're going to be enhanced with a very serious enhanced penalty. The same thing is true if you use one and hurt someone. Same thing is true if you're in possession of one. And the reason for that is that we got to get these people off the streets. It's just that simple. If someone is careless enough to be shooting at somebody else and get a gun that's going to kill 10 other people around them, first place they shouldn't be shooting. But if you're going to be that careless and reckless, then you need to be removed for the safety of our citizens here in Jefferson County. The same thing true with another bill, that is, we're requiring people that have weapons to put these weapons up, to keep them away from these young people. Lock them up, and if not, then that's a consequence for that too. It's time for us to get serious at the next level. We've been serious, but it's time for us to take an all-out assault on these weapons, on crime, and on these shootings. And as I said earlier, whatever we can do in Montgomery, we're going to do it. The first one of them bills that hit in the Senate, we're going to get it passed and get it through with it. It's the House bill, and we're going to move to pass the other bills because all of them go hand in hand. So I just want each and every one of y'all to know that, you know, we're going to be going back down tomorrow, and we're going to be taking these bills up, and we're going to do everything we can to move these bills forward in a bipartisan manner. And I want to say it in conclusion is this, it doesn't matter who gets the credit. I mean, let's get that straight. It does not matter about credit. The credit is going to be for the citizens to have a safer place and a better place to live. And with that, I'll turn this back over to our mayor and look forward to working with each and every one of you all to enhance the opportunity to make life better for our citizens here in Jefferson County, Birmingham, and Alabama. Thank you.